There are many different undefeated fighters in the UFC. However, the question remains the same. How long will they stay undefeated? We're going to be answering that question today. We have 8 different fighters lined up in this video. All of them are ranked fighters. We're not covering guys who are 1-0 off the Contender Series because that is a complete waste of time and energy. If you do want to enjoy this video, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, leave a subscribe as well if you do want to see any more content like this. We're gonna get right into the video. No more time to hassle. Starting off with Ilia Topuria, arguably the most accomplished, not arguably, but he is the most accomplished undefeated fighter on the roster at the moment. I believe he stays undefeated and retires undefeated. Now, obviously, I am an Ilia Topuria glazer. I'm an Ilia Topuria fanboy. So you kind of have to, you have to take this with a pinch of salt. But I think he beats Islam Makhachev from a stylistic point of view. Islam Makhachev is not going to want to strike with Ilia Topuria because Ilia will just knock him out. Ilia does what he wants against taller opponents. He does his thing. And I feel like Islam's going to want to try and get him down. Now, a lot of the AKA guys and and Habib's training camp do a lot of their work and takedowns against the cage. Ilia also wants to have his opponent against the cage, so I feel like if the fight moves from the center of the octagon through to the cage, Ilia will have the advantage because that's where he wants Islam to be effectively. Ilia does his best work against the cage, Islam does his best work against the cage. It's effectively a coin flip, and if Ilia manages to keep on the feet and his takedown defense holds up, I'm picking him to win. And there's no surprise to me that he is the betting favorite. It's a slight surprise because Islam is pound for pound #1. But, in anyone else in the lightweight division, I don't think beats him. Okay, Dustin Poirier, I'm picking Islam to win. Poirier's obviously got very, very good hands, very good boxing. I mean, Islam did a good job against Poirier on the feet. Poirier is getting old. I think Islam chins him. We've seen Poirier get knocked out before. He got knocked out by Gaethje by a head kick. I think Topuria chins him. So, yeah, Islam and Charles, obviously that Charles Oliveira fight is very close. Charles can get dropped before. We've seen it before, but he does have pretty good recovery. Sarukian, I think Sarukian would have a very close fight with Ilia. I'm still putting my money on Ilia Topuria, though. I think he beats everyone in the lightweight division, maybe besides like a Dan Hooker who might catch him. Like I can see someone like Dan Hooker just chitted him. You know what I mean? Just a random guy. Maybe get like fraud checked by Gamrot or something. Yeah, because MMA makes no fucking sense at all. Moving on, Shavkat Rakhmonov. I believe he gets fraud checked. Well, not fraud checked, but I think he loses his undefeated status in 1 to 2 more fights. I think he loses to Belal, honestly, but I think, hang on, does he lose to, yeah, and then I think he beats Jack Della Maddalena, who's currently fighting Belal, in some weird circle of MMA not making any sense. I think he beats JDM, I think JDM beats Belal, and then I think Belal beats Shavkat. So, if Belal gets past JDM, Shavkat will probably be next if he isn't injured, Mr. Lego Limbs. And then, I think if JDM becomes champ, Shavkat fights JDM, he becomes champ, then I think Belal probably has another shot and then beats Shavkat and becomes champ again in some weird world. But that's what I think of Shavkat. I think he loses to Belal Muhammad but beats JDM. It's a weird world we're gonna live in. MMA maths makes no sense at all. I think he gets fraud checked. Khamzat Chimaev. Now I've got a very strong point on Khamzat. I believe he gets beaten in his next fight. He will be fighting for the title against DDP. Now I think DDP beats him based off plot armor, and also because Dricus du Plessis is a very difficult fight to prepare for. So is Khamzat Chimaev, but the game plan to beating Khamzat Chimaev or giving him a competitive fight is out there. People forget, man. I mean, listen, against Usman, that fight should have been a draw. If you rewatch the fight and you score it, should have been a draw. Against Gilbert Burns, it was a very close fight. What did Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman both have in common? They are both grapplers, okay? They are both grapplers are base. DDP is also grappler base. If you have decent wrestling defense or you're somewhat of a grappler and you make it through the first round with Khamzat Chimaev, you're going to have a close fight with him. They're both 3-round fights and Chimaev gassed out in both of them, okay? And they were very close, razor close. DDP, if you gas out against DDP, he's gonna throw whatever he can at you and he's going to beat you. So Khamzat Chimaev's 2 most competitive fights in his career are against guys who are started off grappling, okay? if we continue the pattern, if he goes against DDP, I think DDP makes out the first round. I think the second round is going to be less competitive. The third round, he starts to pull away, and he TKOs him in the fourth round. That's my opinion on that fight. I don't think Chimaev can get through a 5-round fight at all based on his wrestling in the first round. And it's not the case of, oh, well, Chimaev at welterweight, he was cutting too much weight, or, Chimaev was sick going into the Usman fight, or any of that. I think it's quite strictly because the wrestling that Chimaev does in the first round kind of just cooks him so that when he gets to the third or fourth round, he's fucked, effectively. And if you do that against DDP from a stylistic point, he's going to get beaten. But that's just like a 3-minute rant I just had on Chimaev, and it's going to extend this video by about 3 minutes. I mean, that's simple maths, isn't it? Next up, Lerone Murphy, bruv. I think he gets one more win. I think he beats Josh Emmett. Stylistically, he's the perfect build and perfect style, effectively, to beat Josh Emmett, which will place him about 8th in the ranking. With Ilya Topuria leaving the rankings, he should probably go up to 7th, unless Pitbull beats Yair Rodriguez. If Pitbull beats Rodriguez, then he'll stay at 8th, which I think will probably happen. Then he'll probably get Yair Rodriguez and then get found out against Yair Rodriguez, or maybe against a guy like Gene Silva coming off a win against, what's his name? Bryce Mitchell. So that's why I think's next for Lerone Murphy. I think he makes it to 16-0-1 and then gets found out by a guy like Gene Silva or Yair Rodriguez. So that's what I think of Lerone Murphy. Moving on, Michael Morales. Now, not to get confused with Miles Morales, Spider-Man. I think he makes it to the top 5. He's fighting Gilbert Burns at 314, I do believe, or 315. I think they might have moved it, just so they want I think they moved it so they can have a backup against. So let's say if Bilal versus JDM, something goes wrong to one of the fighters, like Morales can step in, or Gilbert Burns can step in, or Sean Norris. I think he beats Gilbert Burns, and then I think he goes up against the loser of Sean Brady Edwards, which I think is Sean Brady. And then he probably beats Brady, getting him to the top 5. Let's say if Usman leaves the division and then Colby leaves the division, it'll roughly put him about top 5. And then I think he probably loses the 0 to someone like JDM or Shavkat. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say for Michael Morales. Brilliant fight, don't get me wrong. I rate the guy. I like him, but I don't think he's going to remain undefeated till he's like champion at some point. So, next up, Telesham Teixeira. He's already ranked. One fight against fucking fatty Justin Taffer, and he's already ranked. I'm saying a Tybura fraud check. He's 26 years old. We don't need to just shove him against Tybura, but I can see Tybura just shutting him out and sitting on him for 3 whole rounds and beating him. So that's unfortunate. Unless they just want to skip the fraud check and get some good people into the heavyweight division, I'm all for it. But I think he loses to Tybura, or if he gets past Tybura, he's going to lose to someone like Blades. So, but that's pretty good in the heavyweight rankings to begin with. That's when the quality starts to, go from just fat guys to fat guys of a little better skill. So, let me know what you think of some of the things I've said. If you made it to this point, you're a complete G, because that's a lot longer than any of my other videos, realistic in terms of average watch percentage. So if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.